one of his kids, got two of them gifted like me. He was only like about 5 years old. And he came down south about 6 years ago. He did a project at 5 years old. It's a 5-year-old project. Because he used to come down south and he doesn't understand a lot of things. And his grandmother, which is my sister, began to tell him about, the history of his family. He's been in New York his whole life. He's never been down south. And our history is a very powerful history. My great-grandmother never told me her father was a slave until I began to do research. My great-grandfather was a slave. His name was Gabriel Haynes. He built Jiffy Plantation. He was a contractor. He brought his wife out of slavery. These are things that I was around, but my grandmother was very quiet. My great-grandmother was a very quiet woman. She never told me about it. But I began to talk to my grandnephew. He did this, which is Devin Wilson. He did this thing. When you get time, I'll put it in the back to look at. But I just want to be able for 7-8 minutes. But some things that passed my mind that some of us don't even know where we came from. My kids don't even, and I don't discuss with them because it's hurtful. It's very painful. Amen. It was a big struggle for me. And while I'm talking, I just want to pass something around each and every one of you to look at. I had one over here. I got one that's separated. Brother Travis, look at some of those questions on this. And I'll cover it with you. The test I failed. I'm a pre-law student also. My major in college was pre-law. Second major, I had 2 majors in college. I majored in criminal justice and in political science. So if I wanted to go to law school, I could have went to law school. But I chose the law enforcement aspect of it. And I'll explain those questions. Are they easy? I flunked it. I was a grad student. And I'll tell you why and what those questions really were for. I was born in the 50s, the middle 50s, in the heat of segregation. I grew up in a town that was divided by a train track. That means the blacks was on the east side, the whites was on the west side. And during this time, we were called colored folks. And I went from colored, Negro, to black, and I'm not an African American. I ain't going any further. I don't even use the word. Amen. Some of y'all want to be so politically correct, but I'm going to stick with being black. Being black. You can be politically correct, whatever you want, but that's just me. And during this time, we were called colored folks. It was very seldom you saw black folks on television when they did invent television when I was growing up. Once in a while. If you don't believe me, watch the show like Andy Griffith. It was filmed back in the 59 and 60 when I used to watch shows. I saw 2 black folks on there. One when he was going in the military. And I'm serious. Look at the show. Shows like Carol Burnett didn't have no blacks on it. He finally got Sammy Davis Jr. after a few years. Bill Cosby, one of the first black actors on TV, and a few of them, but they were not any black folks on TV. If they did have it on the show, the Ed Sullivan Show, which most of you never heard of, but wait till the end of the show. So we as black folks had to watch the what? Just to see some black folks. It was amazing to see black folks on TV. I mean, we just yelled through the house, somebody black's on TV. To you, that don't mean anything, does it? But it means a lot to those who came up in that era. Mother Holmes sang a song called Sunday the Song. She sang the Mahalia Jackson song called, the movie was a theme song for a movie called The Invitation of Life. It was a black girl, which mostly always happens. Young lady had a baby for the homeowner. The child looked white, and she refused to be called black. It was easy for her because she could pass as white and pretend to be white because being black was so hard to live. And y'all complain about how hard it is now. It's easy. You ain't got nothing hard to do in life now. Everything's given to you. In this town, we had separate, they said it was equal, but separate facilities. We had the white water fountain, It says white only. You couldn't drink from the white folks' fountain. And we had to have also colored. The colored water fountain and the white water fountain. The laundromat had a dividing wall. Where you could not put your clothes on white folks' clothes. You wash your clothes on this side, which was the wall, and your clothes. You could not go on the white side for all. If our machine worked at all. We had stores that had on there for whites only. I'm talking about restaurants, clothes you buy your clothes from, and the one that the blacks did have to go into a little corner, you could not try on clothes. Your body was just too dirty to put on clothes and take it back off. Nobody wants anything that a black person had on. And I'm not talking long ago. I'm old, but I'm not that old. We were not allowed to eat in certain places because they had on the door for whites only. Certain joints, restaurants and places you get hamburgers, we weren't allowed to go into those places. High school for the blacks was on the west side, was a board school, while the white high school on the east side was a two-story brick building. Separate but equal now. The colored man on TV, as they call us blacks, was when he did show them, they had white folks with black face on them. Because they're not going to give you that role, and they pretend to be ignorant, stupid, clumsy, with no character. That's how they portrayed the black man when I was growing up. That's what I saw. That we were meant to be nothing, that we were less than animals. That's how we were depleted in life. And that we steal, we shuffle our foot, scratch our hair, we act crazy and clumsy. That's the way they portrayed us. But a white person portrayed a black person on television. They didn't allow the black person to be black. They didn't hire black actors. They got white actors. That's where that black face come from. They painted themselves black. Because they were even on the radio, this show called Amos and Andy. They pretend to be whites talking like black, but when TV came on, when they invented TV, they had to figure out a way how to do it. So they had to get black folks in, because they don't pretend to be black and ignorant all the time, but using our voices. This is the generation that I came up in. I remember my mom, my dad in the 1960s was working in Florida, and me and my mom would take the bus, and that's the longest ride to Miami, Florida. About 15 hours. And she said, well, let's go to the back of the bus. And didn't know what she was doing at that time. Because you can play on the back seat, because of a big stretch out seat. Back then, them buses don't look like they look now. We had them big old bus with a two-story level. Let's go in the big two-story level back. But all the time, I didn't know we had to go to the back of the bus. I'm just a small child. I'm just learning what segregation is now. I'm just learning about all this hatred and everything else. And I asked her about that. She said, yeah, that's true. And we went straight to the back. We sat on the seat. And several places, Deacon Reese had a book. He brought second Sunday, the Green Book. We had a Green Book in town. It's a book that teaches you places that you only can go as a black person. You better have your Green Book, because you end up dead if you didn't. You go in the wrong store, you go in the front door, but you ain't coming up the way you went in. Either they'll lynch you and beat you and throw you back out, or you'll disappear out the back door and never be heard of again. A couple of my friends disappeared and never came back, like 10 and 9 years old. Whatever they saw, whatever they did, we don't know. But they end up dead. So you learn to survive and to stay alive. You don't walk the road by yourself. This stuff, but they're ducking children, that stuff been going on when I was growing up. It's nothing new to me. They just do it for different purpose. But I remember the greatest event in my life is being in the church. I'm going to hurry up and get through this. The only thing I had to look for when I attend church, we would go to Atlantic Beach once a year. The church trip. The ushers would sponsor a church trip. We would, sell ball peanuts on the side of the road and raise some money to get on the bus so we can buy our tickets and go with the ushers to the Atlantic Beach. In order to get to Atlantic Beach, you had to go through a forbidden town. That was Myrtle Beach. Blacks are not allowed in Myrtle Beach. there was a few stores that they allow you to buy gas, and that we had to have those stores on that green lit book. Make sure you don't stop to the wrong store because they won't sell you gas. You could not use the facilities. And nothing more degrading than watching mothers of the church got to go in the woods to use the bathroom. While we made that long trip. Atlantic Beach is way through Myrtle Beach. Because, we had and we could not make no noise on the bus, had to be quiet and cruise. So we had to use the bathroom, we pulled in the woods. The men went on this side of the woods and the older lady. That thing bothered me as a child. To watch the mother of the church because they could not use facilities in the town of Myrtle Beach. So y'all love to go there, and they treat you so good now, but it wasn't always that way. That's why they lock up when you have Black Bikers Week. Y'all don't know the roots behind it. They know how y'all supposed to, and y'all prove that y'all prove them true now. This generation does. That we are all to be out of control. And the Jim Crow law came out in 1965. I'm passing who has it now? The test question. This was given, keep reading it, just pass it to other people. My senior law class, we flunked that test. 60-something questions. This one they gave us the right to vote. Blacks still don't have a right to vote now. You all know that, right? You just got a bill in 1965 to allow you. We had to fight about a few years ago to keep the right to vote. Blacks don't have to. They ain't passed them off for y'all to vote yet. None of us. They got a Bill of Rights, but not a law in the book that you're equal with the whites to vote. So when they gave the right to vote in 1965 by that bill, you had to pass that test. I'm talking about people around the age of Sister Hill and Deaconess Fields over there, Mother Holmes, and they probably weren't not even 21 yet. Mother Holmes, Sister Fields. So basically, if it was not, the white was exempt from taking the test. Why? Because they were white. We had to prove. Now you have people who ain't, most of my great grandparents didn't go to school. They had to take that test and can't even read. So prove that they can pass, that they can vote. They had to pass the literacy test to vote. Now you think they could have passed that test? We can't pass it now. And most of us finished college, 2 years and 4 years of college. So that's the test they gave the blacks so they still don't want you, but y'all said everything, discrimination is not existing, it's not there anymore, it's still there. Finish that up, let me read my paper and get out your way. I was a pre-law student at Baptist College, was given this test by the law professor, Dr. Hastings. I'll never forget the man. And I did not pass. The whites were exempted from this test because they were white. The test is supposed to test an individual's ability to, could he read and understand the English language. That test do more than that. The biggest test in my life came in 1968, and they had to bus me. 10 and 11-year-old kids from the black school and placed us in the middle. They just took the middle of the black school and set it in the middle of the white school. Junior high school don't exist anymore. 7th and 8th grade doesn't exist anymore. Y'all call it middle school, intermediate school, whatever, all this new terminology. And some of the kids got National Guard, some didn't. Gene and Deacon Reese, they fought all the time over there by that. They were like animals over there. They were fighting like animals just to survive. We ain't class. If we can only get but it was a riot. It was fighting. You just saying your kids. Some states were fortunate to get a National Guard and get escort to school, so the old white folks don't beat us up and spit and throw bottles at us. You just don't know how great you have it. That's how bad it was. And you go to school and you act up, you don't study, you got a golden opportunity to learn.
That's right.
But you've taken advantage of it, and you said, the white man, you're holding yourself down. Amen. We survived because we had enough brains to know how to survive. And when I finished that busing, I thought that would have been over with. My middle school year, I got through it, and they piled us all up there, but by the grace of God, I seen so much of my intelligent friends that were smart enough flunk. Very few black passed that year, and the following year. And then around night, I think they made it mandatory. I think the last graduating class was 1970. And they closed down all the black schools. And it was no more white and black school. It was all one school. By the time I graduated from college, I had to pick from high school, I had to go to college. Lo and behold, I didn't know the history of school till I got there. These are preachers, ministers. I went to Baptist college. Preachers were worse than the devils I've been dealing with. They said, we will never let blacks, and I found that for sure, never allow blacks to come to the school. But it came to the point they needed some money. So to get blacks there, they'll get some, they can actually have federal funding and accept scholarship because it was a private institution. And I ended up at Baptist College, and Lord, behold. I had no problem in class. My problem was dealing with the racism. If you call yourself a Christian, be a Christian. And for the grace of God, I don't know, I met my wife there. That was one good thing about it. I met my wife there. And she thought I was one of the craziest persons, radical person she ever met. Earrings and long dress. That was me. Making my statement in the world. You know? And I told her my goals, my visions and dreams, and I guess she stayed with me because if you look at me back then, I had no kind of vision, no dreams. So she stuck with me all these last 45 years or so, and lo and behold, we're still here as teenagers now, middle-aged people. But I thought that was a challenge for me, being in a white college, predominantly white college. And one of them says, well, why you don't go to your college? What do you mean go to your college? What that's supposed to mean? You should have went to state. I'm gunned down the black folks at state when I was there. Killed 3 of them. Shot them down dead, police. Nothing never happened to them folks. Killed those students because they wanted to do a protest and call in the National Guard. They killed 3 students. They shot about at least 12 of them up there. But 3 of them died. You know, we call them the Orangeburg Massacre. But it didn't make the news because that wasn't that important. Just kill a black person. You don't put black people on TV, so it wasn't worthy of making it. But I got out, college, and used all these things I'm trying to say. God takes you through things in life to prepare you where you want you to live. And lo and behold, here come all these people from the NAACP and all these lawmakers and stuff, and my daddy, folks tell me, look, we need you. I said, need me? As soon as I got my degree, I've been leaving the South. I had my mind to book on out of here. I'm going to New York. I'm playing like I can be treated like a real person. They told me we want you to stay. And I said, stay? Why stay? And they said, well, we want you to, we got a town, we want to enter. I said, what, me? You prepared? I said, I ain't prepared for nothing like this. I ain't even knew about no policemen when I was growing up. Never heard of a police, personally. Them one of them folks, you know, with them guns, I tried to avoid keeping them all my life. All I looked at is that big gun, and I kept my mouth shut in them dark roads in the night. I lived. We want you to be a policeman in Goose Creek. The first thing came into my mind, there ain't no black people there. There's no black people there in Goose Creek. And I said, I got to think about this. So they worked through my father, and my father came to me, the only person I listened to. He said, son, you know, life is not always about you. I did not want to go there. Be the first one to integrate that police department. And you know, it was the biggest decision I've ever made in my life. And here I'm back in this big, we can reach them hometown, but the same thing again. The train tracks separated everybody. All the blacks on this side of the tracks, and all the whites on this side of the track in the big town of Goose Creek. And lo and behold, I came there. And I found an old picture from the 80s. Look at that picture. See anybody black on there? That's 1980. Me. Only black one in the whole police department. And by God's grace, I survived. Don't know how. I ain't going to tell y'all some of the things I've been called. Been spit on and everything else. You know, they can't use some of the words. We got small children in here. But they call me, and But I still lock them up, though. The judge might let him out the next day, but I had my peace that day. I said, "But you ain't gonna put me in jail." I said, "We gonna see tonight." Much stronger and much bigger then. I could fight then. God's grace went from the bottom of the totem pole all the way to the top man of the top. I was in charge of hiring and firing and everything else. Don't tell me God can't bless you, and stop fighting and saying it can't be done. Everybody ain't gonna be good to you. I can't tell you how many times I was always passed for promotion, even with a PhD. You get passed over a guy in high school. When you hire and train, become your boss. Lived through that for 15, 16 years, but I still hung in there. The greatest day of my life was right here. The day, see? Johnson retired after 25 years. Yeah. When a black man can get a check, he's gone. I left. And I retired from Goose Creek Police Department, the first black African-American officer, as they call me. This wasn't just an officer. I was an employee year, officer year many times. I did my job by God's grace. And you can always say, look at God. Look what he can do. All those things that I went through in high school prepared me for that place and taught me how to deal with people. Not only that, when I got ready to retire, the sheriff, the coroner, and the county supervisor asked me to come work for them at the county and to run and develop their program for their chaplaincy because of and organize counseling and crisis management for the officers and the rescue squad. When you do what God asks you to do, even when you don't want to do it, just do what God says. It's not all about you sometimes. It's like I said when I came out of school, from seminary school and stuff, I wanted me a turnkey operation church. Didn't get it. But I got y'all. Amen? Amen. And I won't give y'all up for a rusty nickel. Amen? God has blessed this church, has brought this church a long way. This is a whole new Ashton. And God's going to keep sending people, even when I see these visions, I be saying, well, how are you going to do that? But he does it. Amen. Thank you all for your time. Amen. Pray for me.